Hey guys, welcome to today's video. So Barnes & Noble just recently announced their top books of 2024. And so I decided to do a little vlog here where I read the adult one and the middle grade one, or children's. I'm not sure how they classify it exactly. But so I got both books here from the library. I'm going to briefly talk about them and then I'll actually read them and get back to you guys about if I agree with them being the best books or whatnot. So for the adult one, we have James by Percival Everett. I believe this is a retelling of Huckleberry Finn, but with Jim as the main character from his point of view. It's about slavery in the South and I think like adventure. I'm not really sure. I didn't read too much into it, and I'm not a big Huckleberry Finn fan, so I'm not sure if that one's going to work for me, but we're going to just see how it goes. And then for the children one, we have Impossible Creatures by Katherine Rundell. And this one is like a super fun copy from the library. And I believe this one is all about creatures. Like a kid finds a baby griffin and then he like goes to like this magical island maybe or something. And there's like other creatures there and stuff. Sounds very fun, very whimsical, very full of adventure. So those are the two books I'm going to be reading for this video. And I will get back to you guys when I have an update for you. Hey guys, so I have an update for you. I am a little sick, so ignore the congestion. So I finished James by Percival Everett last night, and I'm having kind of a hard time for a rating because on the one hand, like objectively, this is a good book. You can tell the author is very talented. It's good writing, good prose. But on the other hand, like, it's not necessarily my cup of tea and it's not really my type of book. So I think I'm going to probably land on like a 3.5, maybe even a 4. So if you guys are not aware, I think I talked about it a bit in my intro, but this is a retelling of Huckleberry Finn. And that's another thing. I really do not like Huckleberry Finn or Mark Twain. I'm just not a big fan. I read some stuff in high school, but I just, I wasn't a big fan. This is not my type of book. I can recognize, he's a good writer and everything, but it's just not my type of book. So this one is a retelling of Huckleberry Finn, but from Jim's perspective. If you guys are not aware of Huckleberry Finn, it's like this young boy is traveling on the Mississippi. It's during, it's like right before the start of the Civil War, so there's slaves in the South and everything. And Jim is a slave that is traveling with Huckleberry, and this one is from Jim's perspective rather than Huck's perspective. And I did enjoy this book. I had kind of low expectations just because it's not my type of book and I don't really like Huckleberry Finn, so I wasn't thinking much of it. But you can tell that the author is very talented. And one thing I will say also, I liked how so obviously this time period is very hard and very gruesome, especially for the slaves, obviously. But this book, like, it focused on that and it talked about some events and things, but it didn't give a lot of graphic details, which I was a little nervous about. I don't like a lot of violence. I don't like a lot of graphic details in my books. Like, I understand that slavery was going on and they were treated horrible, and there was a lot of bad things going on for them, and that's horrible, but I don't necessarily want all the specific details, if that makes sense. So this book, I think, had a nice balance of like showing us some of the horrible things without like giving too much detail or without focusing like too much attention to it, if that makes sense. So I did really appreciate that because I was a little nervous going in reading a slavery book just because of the violence, and obviously I knew what was going on, but it's just like, it's hard for me to read. I don't want to read something that makes my stomach turn. But this one, I did like. James is a great character to follow. You can see his inner thoughts, and it really like builds that character, and I like that a lot. But on the other hand, I would prefer, it's just not really my type of book. So I'm going to give it a 3.5. I think a lot of people will like this book, especially if you like classics. If you like Mark Twain, I think you'll like this book a lot. And I am interested in trying more from this author because you can tell, like, it's a good author, obviously. And so I don't necessarily think it's the best book of the year. Like, for me personally, objectively, it is a good book, and I bet a lot of people like it. I think it has a super high rating on Goodreads, so obviously people really like it. So I don't necessarily agree with Barnes & Noble's like pick for the year, I guess, but it's not a bad pick, if that makes sense. And so now I'm going to jump into Impossible Creatures by Katherine Rundell. This is the children's book of the year, and it has red edges, which I love, sprayed edges. So this one, I think this boy like rescues a baby griffin, and then he's like transported somewhere where there's like creatures and stuff. So this one's not necessarily my cup of tea either, because I don't really read a lot of fantasy, but I do feel like middle grade fantasy is kind of fun sometimes because it's like easier to understand and everything. And there are some pretty cool pictures in here also. So today is the 30th of December. I'm going to try to finish this before the end of the year. I'm hoping I can do that, and I will update you guys on my thoughts on this one. Hey guys, so unfortunately, Impossible Creatures was not for me. I got about halfway through, and I ended up DNFing. I don't know what it is, but the writing was just like really boring to me. And I was not connecting with the story. It took me a couple days just to get halfway, and that's really unlike me, especially for a children's book. It usually should only take me like a day or two to finish it, especially if it's something interesting and good. But this one was just not for me. I think a lot of kids will maybe like it because of all the creatures and stuff. But for me, it just was not working out. So unfortunately, I am going to DNF it. So for this video, there's only 2 books. So the adult one, the Barnes & Noble pick for adults, James, I could see that one being widely liked. It wasn't necessarily my cup of tea, but I could tell the writing was good and it's widely going to be liked. And this children's one, I guess I disagree with also because I personally didn't really like it, but I could see a lot of kids liking it, so I'm a bit unsure. But I did read a lot of other middle grade and children's books that I liked a lot more, so I don't know. So yeah, so I guess I disagree with both, but more so with the children's one. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.